Durango High School students design an international space station for the moon. What Durangoans really think about the giant stone banana at the continuous flow intersection, and amateur athletes get down and dirty during DMR's annual Muck and Mire Race. These stories and more on this week's edition of Inside Durango News.
You're watching Inside Durango News, Durango's only televised news magazine covering local news and features, business updates, sports, arts, and entertainment, and up-to-date minute weather forecasts for the greater Durango area. Featuring news anchor Ashley Dickson, Moni Grushkin on business, and Jordan Alexander with sports. Brought to you by Fast Signs. More than fast, more than signs. Fast Signs.
I'm Ashley Dickson, coming to you from the roof of the Crossroads building for this edition of Inside Durango News. Now that marijuana is legal in Colorado, communities like Durango are trying to find a balance between safe and profitable pot sales to adults while preventing children from getting high. Earlier this month, a coalition of youth services and health organizations sponsored a forum on preventing marijuana use among children. And the keynote speaker, Dr. Christian Thurstone, spoke on Friday to highlight the dangers of marijuana consumption by children. Thurstone is a physician with the Adolescents Substance Abuse Treatment, Education, and Prevention Program with the Denver Center for Behavioral Health. More than 100 community members attended the presentation at Miller Middle School on August 8th to hear Thurstone explain how pot use in adolescence causes addiction and inhibits the educational success of young adults.
So, 1 in 6 adolescents who tries marijuana develops an addiction to it. So a couple points about that. So the number is 1 in 6 for adolescents if you try marijuana for the first time before age 18. The number for if you wait till after you're 18 is about 1 in 11. So much greater risk. For every year, this is basic prevention science here, that we can prevent the onset of substance use, whatever substance it is, we buy ourselves a lot of good fortune.
Thurston said if adolescents use marijuana before they're 15 years old, they're nearly 4 times less likely to graduate from high school. They're also less likely to enroll in college or to finish college if they do enroll. While marijuana's addictive properties have been the subject of much debate, Thurstone argued that smoking pot causes not only psychological dependence, but also physical dependence that manifests as increased tolerance to the drug and withdrawal symptoms when users stop. Thurstone said that chronic marijuana use can have the same negative impact on cognitive abilities that lead poisoning can have.
I think a good way to summarize it, which is how I summarize it later, it's on par with the drop in IQ with pediatric lead exposure, basically. Pediatric lead exposure decreases one's IQ by about 7 to 10 points, and then marijuana would be 8 points, plus another 5 if you're exposed in utero. So it really is on par with lead exposure.
With members of the local police force in attendance, Thurstone encouraged the community to adopt a zero-tolerance policy for drivers who operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. Thurston also covered marijuana and pregnancy and how marijuana is marketed directly to youth. For more information on Dr. Christian Thurstone's work, visit drthurstone.com. Next up, Moni Grushkin with our top business story.
Thanks, Ashley. When it comes to innovation, Southwest Colorado is now recognized as the gold standard for making things happen. The Region 9 Economic Development District of Southwest Colorado has been named the recipient of the Innovation Award from the National Association of Development Organizations, Research Foundation. The award recognizes Region 9 for establishing the Southwest Colorado Accelerator Program for Entrepreneurs, also known as SCAPE. The Innovation Award will be presented at NATO's annual training conference in Denver on August 23rd through the 26th. Region 9 Executive Director Ed Moreland will accept the award. NATO is a national organization that provides advocacy, education, networking, and research for regional development organizations like Region 9. The association's Innovation Awards program recognizes innovative and strategic programs that strengthen their communities. Elizabeth Marsh, Executive Director for SCAPE, explained that SCAPE is the only accelerator program in Colorado and was selected from among 98 projects in 27 states to receive the award. The Durango SCAPE program was chosen as the innovation leader because it serves local entrepreneurs and a rural community with high-quality professional mentor support. In addition, 14 local investors provide capital for the program. An unusually high participation rate for a small town like Durango. SCAPE is the brainchild of local residents Jim Mackay and Gary Masner. The program supports promising entrepreneurs whose businesses have the potential to grow quickly and create new jobs in Southwest Colorado. Participants receive an initial stipend to support themselves as they develop a growth plan that will attract additional investors. They receive free office space and in-depth mentoring to prepare to enter the marketplace and raise capital to grow their companies. The initial stipend is actually an investment that the entrepreneurs pay as their businesses grow. Since its inception in 2013, 5 business ventures have graduated from the program to create 8 jobs and leverage $385,000 in investments. One of the 3 current SCAPE ventures is Cocopelli Baking. Amber Davis and her mother, Kari Sample, have developed mixes for gluten-free products with good texture that taste great and are nutritious. Amber says that participating in SCAPE has been a pivotal point in her business. Advisors provide important insights that keep them from making expensive mistakes. She said, "To give you an idea of the caliber of the mentors in the program, Cocopelli's lead mentor is John Baxter, former president of Nabisco." In addition to Region 9, SCAPE is supported by the Small Business Development Center at Fort Lewis College, local financial institutions, and private investors. For more information about SCAPE, visit goscape.org. Up next, Scotty Smith with the weather.
I'm Scotty Smith. Did you know there's a weather app for predicting the kind of beer that goes best with the prevailing conditions? Stay tuned for a weather trivia later on Inside Durango News. Now, for an up-to-the-minute weather forecast from Inside Durango TV. Inside Durango's top news stories have been brought to you by the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. It's America's train.
Everyone's on a budget, and we have several programs that are available that will meet those needs so that it does fit within your budget.
We're family here. They like the way they're treated. They like the way we present the numbers. There is nothing under question. They know exactly what they're getting. The quality of the Honda is number one. You want to get into a car that you know you can depend on for years and years, and it's not going to break down. It's going to be what it's presented to be.
This is the story of a company that has its roots in Southwest Colorado. A story about 2 college friends who founded a local business, of their families and the families of their staff, and of generations to come. It's about the concerns we hold, the passions we share, and the bonds that unite us. We're the Wells Group. And for 3 decades, we've been proud to be a part of the Southwest Colorado community. Candace Jeep has a busy schedule. She runs an audiology practice in Durango. It's not easy running your own business. That's why she chooses to bank at Alpine Bank. Being able to make business deposits without stepping out of the office saves time. And she loves how the Alpine Bank mobile app makes it easy to keep track of personal finances from anywhere, giving Candace the freedom to focus on what really matters. Alpine Bank in downtown Durango and 3 Springs.
This portion of local news has been brought to you by Alpine Bank. Locally owned, locally operated. Alpine Bank.
When it comes to show and tell, the Durango High School Aerospace Design Team knows how to tell an award-winning story. The team took top honors at the International Space Settlement Design Competition held in July at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Not only did their international team win the competition, but DHS students won all 3 individual awards for leadership and quality of their presentation. They competed against more than 300 high school students from throughout the world. The International Space Competition was founded in 1984 to attract the nation's brightest high school minds to compete in a design and management competition to inspire students to pursue careers as engineers in the aerospace industry. Over the years, competitors have been asked to design space settlements, colonies on Mars, asteroids, and other planets. This year, student teams were asked to design a space settlement on the moon. The Durango team won the national competition to advance to the international finals, where 20 teams from Australia, India, Wales, Uruguay, and other countries were divided into 4 companies. Durango High School students were paired with students from India, Australia, Wales, and another American team that included students from Ohio and Texas. They were asked to pull together a comprehensive proposal to build a space settlement on the moon.
You really have to accommodate comes to the breakdown of the sections. In structure, you have to make enough room for the people, for all of the infrastructure, for all of the mining, refining, for all of the port systems that are going to be in place. In operations, you need to figure out how you're going to feed them, how you're going to get water to them, how the air is going to be there, and what's going to happen if something goes wrong. For humans, it's all about what makes people happy, what makes them feel at home. They're going to want movie theaters. They're going to want places to do business. They're going to want large parks, lunar parks. They're going to want access to the surface and rovers so that they can go around and visit places. And then for automations, they're going to want everything to be as quick as possible. Everything that can be robotic and not interfere with daily life, that is automation's job. And then business compiles it all into this wonderful little picture that says, and we're doing all this so that you will be able to mine the moon, you will be able to make money, you will be able to do lunar research, and you're going to be able to make a profit from all of it. So that's sort of what we do.
DHS students took on the top leadership roles for make-believe aerospace and engineering firm that they called Dugeldine and Flatteltel Aerosystems. Hakan Sigerslid, a graduating senior, was named company president. Mariah Dorsey was elected the company's system engineer. Charlie Greenberg served as chief financial officer. Mallory Bird was named the Vice President of Structural Engineering. Al Rothburn was named Vice President of Operations and Infrastructure. Bella Busian was in charge of Human Factors, and Jesse Rubenstein took over Automations Engineering. They had 42 hours to work with their student colleagues from other countries to prepare a comprehensive proposal to present to the judges. Emma Greenberg said the team focused on preparing a presentation that offered an overall vision for the space station. They included a representative tour and a scale model of the settlement, something that no other team had ever tried before.
I was really proud of one member of our team, Cord Arnold, who was a freshman, and he built a model, an actual model of our settlement, which I guess has pretty much never been done. They're always saying you can do a physical representation, you can do art projects. So he spent, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours building this thing. And so at 6 in the morning, 2 hours before we have to go to our presentation, it's like all little pieces of styrofoam across the floor, and you're like, oh my god, this is never going to be finished. And we get to the presentation, and it's this beautiful model, and I was really proud of him for that. So.
And it was to scale.
Arnold's model is now on display at the Educational Institute at the Space Technical Center at Kennedy. The Durango High School team not only won the international competition, individual students also received top honors. Sigerslid won the Best Student Leader Award, and Jocelyn Zemock and Ben Wilbur won Best Female and Male Presenters. But will Durango students pursue careers in engineering as a result of the participation in this competition?
Definitely, though, this competition, I was never interested in engineering before I joined this team and began this process. And it's definitely opened my eyes to this whole other wonderful industry and how big it is in our world today. And so I definitely can see myself going into some of the biotechnical side.
The 2014 win is the 6th time that a DHS team has won the competition since its first win in 2001. English teacher Dan Gardner is the team's coach. DHS librarian Steve Powell is a co-sponsor for the 14-member team. They were supported by the Durango Education Foundation, the Bill and Diane Mensch Foundation, and Stone Age Tools of Durango. The La Plata County Fair is the highlight of the summer for farmers, 4-H'ers, and homemakers who enter their prized wines, quilts, cakes, cows, and assorted other animals and goods to compete for ribbons and the title of Grand Champion. We joined Inside Durango TV News Director Debbie Rhoda on the tour of the fair exhibits last weekend.
Hey Ashley, it's Debbie Rhoda here at the 2014 La Plata County Fair, and we're about ready to go in and see what the 4-H barbecue is all about. So what are you making today?
We're making top round roasts and some pulled pork.
And how fast is it going?
It's going pretty fast.
The one is a Barolo, and I love making Italian wines, being from an Italian ancestry here, and it came in first place. The first time I've ever done a Barolo, and I'm surprised.
Beautiful, it's giving me the whirlies. I'm at the WHH Ranch Company, and I'm going to try some of this. Let's see, I'm going to try some of the jalapeno jelly. That looks like that would be the best. Is there any?
#1 seller.
I bet it is. Oh my gosh, look at that. Cowboy candy, she calls it.
I promise you won't be burned.
I like them hot, honey.
There you go.
So now let's go outside and check out the animals.
The bunnies.
Is that where you're headed now?
Yeah.
Let's go check out the bunnies.
Okay.
And what's your favorite chicken?
Oh, I really can't say. I really like chickens, and that's why we do this.
Here we are in the livestock barn, and I really like the pigs. So let's go find us some pigs.
Pigs are incredibly intelligent animals, and so you can teach them easier than a dog half the time. But this year I haven't taught mine anything, but I mean, the black one rolls over for belly rubs, but I have taught them to come to whistles, and they can sit sometimes. I can teach them to sit.
Deborah Uroda, and here we are at the Demolition Derby, and I cannot believe you would get in the car and deliberately wreck it. Tell us what your name is.
Daryl Cordery.
Daryl, where are you from?
Durango.
And have you been doing this very often?
I did it once last year, and this is my second year.
And why do you do this?
Because it's fun.
This portion of local news has been brought to you by Alpine Bank. Locally owned, locally operated. Alpine Bank.
At Durango Motor Company, our sales consultants are not paid on commission.
That's right. They're paid based on how satisfied you are with your purchase and not on how much you spent.
They're here to help you make a smart choice to find the right vehicle that you'll love.
A relaxed shopping experience where our sales consultant's top priority is your satisfaction. It's part of our promise to you, our guests.
Durango Motor Company, a new company, a new philosophy.
X-Rock 105.
The Durango Holiday Inn would like to invite you to the Sporting News Grill for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Featuring a full-service restaurant and bar with 11 HD TVs, it's a great venue for family and sports fanatics alike. The Sporting News Grill. Stop in and let us show you our game face.
This week's sports news from Durango and further afield is brought to you by Mercy Regional Medical Center. Inspiring health.
I'm Jordan Alexander. It's dirty, it's muddy, it's grueling. It's the First National Bank of Durango's Muck and Mire Mud Race adventure. This past Saturday marked the third annual Muck and Mire Race, and it lived up to all the hype. The event held at Durango Mountain Resort is essentially a foot race split into 10K and 5K categories with a 1-mile fun run for children. But throughout the courses are various obstacles which give the Muck and Mire its name. Contestants had to navigate their way through such mucky obstacles as the Give It Your Wall, swim through the mucky Moose Pond, hurtle down the slip and slide, and wallow in the mud pit. Sounds lovely. The course took advantage of Purgatory Mountain's classic inclines, which proved as challenging as many of the obstacles. And despite cuts, bruises, and being covered in mud, there was a smile on every one of the faces of the runners as they crossed the finish line. Time for a hot shower, I think. Entertainment continued after the races with awards, prizes, and a beer garden courtesy of Steamworks Brewing Company and Durango Coca-Cola. Local band Bacon brought the unique blend of funk, soul, and jazz to the event. Proceeds from the 2014 Muck and Mire on the Mountain went to Food for La Plata Kids, which runs programs such as the Manna Soup Kitchen Kids Backpack Program. To prepare for next year's Muck and Mire, find a muddy puddle and dive straight in. Or alternatively, visit DurangoMountainResort.com. Lots of news out of Fort Lewis College this week, as the start of the fall season closes in on us. To start with, let's start with women's soccer. New head coach Jimmy Hall will be delighted as his Hawks were selected 24th in the National Soccer Coaches Association of America preseason poll. The selection committee chose the top 25 teams nationally throughout Division II. Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference rivals Metro State were selected at number 16 and Colorado School of Mines at number 9. Skyhawk Golf, alumni Thomas Guy Begay is the new head coach for both FLC men's and women's golf programs. A graduate in 2004, Begay presented Skyhawk Golf all 4 of his collegiate years. Now a PGA Class A professional, he takes on a solid men's program and the fledgling women's program that this year will compete in its first season as a varsity program. Men's and women's golf commence their season on September the 8th for the Colorado State University Pueblo Wolfpack Invite at the Walking Stick Golf Course. Now, with any collegiate sport, there's going to be plenty of bumps and bruises, but with a host of athletic trainers to guide, treat and rehabilitate athletes, the serious injuries are kept to a minimum. FLC head trainer Wayne Barger announced on Monday that Justin King joins the Skyhawk Miracle Workers. King's primary focus will be men's soccer in the fall and men's basketball in the winter. He becomes the 6th full-time trainer at the college after women's golf and track and field required one of their own. And last but by no means least, the FLC women's lacrosse team was one of 45 Division II programs that achieved Intercollegiate Women's Lacrosse Coaches Association academic honours. The Skyhawk squad holds a 3.33 grade point average, with the threshold for the academic honours at 3.0. FLC Lacrosse secured their best season ever with 10 wins and 7 losses, and now with academic excellence in their locker, they're going from strength to strength. Last week, we were celebrating Rory McIlroy's win at the WGC Bridgestone Golf Tournament. A week later, and he's back again, this time as the winner of the PGA Championship held at Valhalla Golf Club in Kentucky. The win marks the Irish golfer's 2nd straight major title, and it certainly wasn't easy, with the title contested the whole way up the back 9 by Phil Mickelson, Ricky Fowler, Henrik Stenson, and of course McIlroy himself. At the 10th hole, McIlroy was 3 behind, but utilised his 3-wood from 281 yards out to set himself up for a 7-foot eagle putt. McIlroy held a 2-shot lead for the final hole, and after a 2-hour rain delay, the foursome battled through fading light, but where the others fell short, McIlroy's 2-shot advantage gave him the room to carefully complete the hole to take the championship by just 1 stroke. And that's it for this week's sports update, from near, far and everywhere in between. Before I leave, we're going to check back in with Backcountry Experience for the next part in our series of successful hiking adventures.
So here we are at our campsite after our first day of hiking on our trip, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the shelters we have. Basic thing we're looking at here is what's called a 3-season shelter and a 2-person shelter. So both of these tents can comfortably sleep 2 people, and they're called 3-season tents because they're strong enough to survive heavy rain and winds and light snow that we might get in the Colorado high country, but they're not 4-season tents, which are specifically designed for winter camping and expedition. So in looking for a tent, the 3-season category is what you're going to be looking for. And the tent I've chosen today is the MSR Hubba Hubba NX. It's a new edition of a long-time popular well-made tent from MSR. And what makes it so popular is it offers great protection, reasonably lightweight, and a lot of internal space. So as the tent is set up now, it's called freestanding, meaning that I've put poles inside the body of the tent and it stands up by itself. So I can take out this stake if I want, and I can move the tent from side to side without having the whole thing collapse. That's what's meant by freestanding. They're generally a little easier to set up than other styles of tents, and they can offer more internal space. Right now I have the tent set up with the rain fly, which is the waterproof cover of the tent, and that covers up the more breathable body. And that this has a fly and a body that are separate, that means that it's a double wall tent. So in addition to being freestanding, this MSR double wall tent has the ability for the rain fly to open and come totally off. As we open the tent, we see that we have an entryway to the tent that is covered from the elements but doesn't have a floor in it. That's called the tent's vestibule, and that's a great place to store your gear that you're not going to be needing overnight, like your backpack and your stove, and you can roll over and still have it anytime you need it, but it's not taking up space inside the tent with you. So again, we're David and Thad from Backcountry Experience, and we'd like to thank you for tuning in today and taking the time to learn a little bit more about the fundamentals of equipment that can help keep you comfortable while backpacking.
The weekly sports news has been brought to you by Mercy Regional Medical Center, inspiring health.
My name is Doug Gunnels, and I run G&G Farms, which is a family-owned company here in Center, Colorado. I raise certified seed potatoes. The business started about 40 years ago with my grandfather. Potato production in itself is a very cash-intensive, demanding, seasonal situation. My farm is branching off into different kinds of varieties that maybe have special uses and a special place on the grocer's shelf. I feel that's a way to move my business forward. First Southwest Bank, they're my partner, and they help me do a lot of good things. I have known my loan officer for many, many years, and I'm very comfortable with her. And one huge thing with First Southwest Bank is that I know everybody from the teller to the CEO and president. They don't think they're in an ivory tower. They know who their customer is. They know what it takes to get their customer to where they want to be, and they have the means and the drive and the foresight to know how to guide a customer to his best success, and therefore guide their own success as well. This is my there.
Next, the business update, brought to you by the First Southwest Bank and the La Plata County Economic Alliance.
I'm Moni Grushkin. We often associate mushrooms as a gourmet topping for pizzas or steaks. Now, two Mancos men who grow gourmet mushrooms for local restaurants and farmers markets hope their research will prove that mushrooms can also be the solution to cleaning up soil contaminated by herbicides. Travis Custer and Gabe Deal with San Juan Mycology in Mancos are experimenting with native oyster mushrooms to see whether they can grow the fungi in sufficient quantities to rid soils contaminated by herbicides like those manufactured by Milestone. La Plata County gardeners have recently discovered that Milestone products have made their way into local composting materials. Milestone herbicides are made of complex carbon molecules that most commonly have been used by farmers to destroy weeds in hayfields. The herbicide works by infiltrating the roots and cellular systems of plants. It destroys weeds but leaves grasses intact. However, when cows eat hay treated with Milestone, they ingest the herbicide, and the herbicide passes through their digestive tract into their manure. When the tainted manure is mixed with compost and applied to gardens, it kills the plants. Travis said even the tiniest amount of Milestone, like in the parts per billion, can destroy a garden. That's where the lowly mushroom comes in.
It works because fungi have extremely specialized digestive systems. They are capable of moving throughout their environment and encountering new food sources or competition and custom developing their own digestive systems to deal with new things in their environment. And so what they found is that a lot of species of fungi are extremely efficient at degrading chemicals. And so they literally, for lack of a better term, they're eating these chemicals and they're reducing them to simpler forms that are less of a contamination.
Right now, Custer is conducting research with the mycelium of native oyster mushrooms in biology labs at Fort Lewis College. Mycelium is the underlying structure of a mushroom that feeds on nutrients in the soil. It looks like spidery fibers, and mushrooms, the reproductive organs of fungi, grows out of the mycelium.
And so right now this culture is growing on malt agar that's been contaminated with milestone herbicide.
Wow.
So eventually we will wean it off of the malt, which is its nutrient source, and it will just grow on the chemical itself.
Custer is cultivating mycelium in petri dishes with an organic food source from Milestone. After the fungi consumes all the nutrients, Custer expects it to begin consuming the milestone. As the mycelium adapts its enzymes to digest and break down the milestone, the fungi permanently alter their DNA. Theoretically, future batches of the altered fungi can be applied to contaminated soil to decompose the herbicide.
Interestingly enough, they're more closely related to humans than to plants. They breathe oxygen, they breathe off carbon dioxide, they have digestive systems. They're a fantastic, amazing organism, and most of what we understand that gives us life as human beings is from fungi. They're responsible for, they're nature's primary decomposer and recycler. We wouldn't have soil without fungi, we wouldn't have food without fungi.
Once Custer is satisfied his fungi can decompose milestone herbicides into non-toxic components, he will test its application in small amounts of contaminated soil in flower pots. Next will come larger scale applications at the Fort Lewis College Incubator Gardens in Hesperus. Then, if successful, commercial production will follow. Custer and Deal raised funds for the research project with an online crowdfunding site and some grants. They're currently looking for additional investors. If you'd like to learn more about their research, visit sanjuanmycology.com. When a group of rafters with the Adaptive Sports Association came up with a rafting guide short of a full armada, a local rafting company stepped up to save the day. Adaptive Sports serves individuals with physical and cognitive challenges, disabilities, and offers rafting, kayaking, water skiing, and camping programs. In the winter, they offer adaptive skiing and biking. Last week, they had two larger groups going down the Animus for the boats captained by employees Iris Gardner and Anne-Marie Megan. Iris called Flexible Flyers, a local rafting company, to hire a guide for 2 days. When Flexible Flyers owner Eric Jorgensen heard about their plight, he volunteered to take a boat down the river with them, although he hadn't had a day off in months.
We are so lucky to live in a community where everybody supports us so much. And it's one thing for companies to lend a guide and, we pay them, and it's a whole other thing for somebody, a business owner that's probably working about 7 days a week to take time out of his busy schedule to volunteer and row with us.
Although Jorgensen takes groups down the river every day and has been doing so for 20 years, this group was unique. Jorgensen said he loves giving back to the community, and these passengers had a special place in his heart. His mother was a special education teacher for 35 years, and he wouldn't think of accepting a fee to take the group rafting.
Fantastic. I had so much fun. It was one of the most fun rafting trips I've had this season. The looks on everybody's faces and how excited they are, and how happy to jump in and go swimming, and how much they love the rapids and bouncing up and down and just clapping and cheering and screaming and just joy. And it just puts a smile on anybody's face, and it just makes you really happy, and it makes you want to keep doing it and keep doing it.
Jorgensen said both organizations benefited from the collaboration.
It's just an honor to be able to help out with Adaptive Sports. They're such an amazing foundation, and it's wonderful what they do for our community, and we're very lucky to have them around.
And likewise, we feel so privileged to work with Flexible Flyers and Eric, and the whole crew has just been amazing. So.
Internationally renowned energy and sustainable development experts will gather in Pagosa Springs August 21st and 22nd to explore how renewable energies can become significant economic drivers in rural communities. The annual symposium is organized by Pagosa Verde. Pagosa Verde is a nonprofit in Archuleta County that recently received a $4 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy to explore whether the hot water aquifers in Pagosa Springs has sufficient heat to power an electric generating station. The conference theme, Harvesting Renewable Energy to Benefit Sustainable Community Development, will explore economic growth through Colorado's renewable energy resources. Community leaders and property owners from across Colorado and neighboring states will join representatives from universities, state and federal agencies, and private businesses to discuss how renewable energy can drive sustainable economic development. Renewable energy can create local jobs through local power generation that can be used for residential, agricultural, and manufacturing applications. And no symposium on economic development in Colorado would be complete without exploring the potentials presented by the newly legalized marijuana industry. While Pagosa Verde is quick to point out that it isn't an advocate for or against legalized marijuana, growing pot does offer opportunities for boosting local economies. A panel of local growers, regulatory specialists, and county officials will discuss distinctions between recreational, medical, and pharmaceutical strains, projections of demand over time, federal and state regulations, and regulatory frameworks. Local growers and counties will discuss their experiences with the budding industry. To learn more or to register, go to pagosaverde.com. After the break, a visit from our furry friends.
The business update has been brought to you by First Southwest Bank and the La Plata County Economic Alliance.
Welcome to the Irish Embassy Pub Durango. We import the majority of our products straight from the Emerald Isle, and let's get it right. You want your Guinness directly imported from Dublin. You want it stored at precisely the right temperature. And you want the pour to be a matter of taste and science. You want to pull with the patience and precision that it deserves. And if that wasn't authentic enough, you want to enjoy it in a pub where the shelves are stocked with 24 different kinds of Irish whiskey. Yes, you want the true Irish experience. Come visit us at the Irish Embassy Pub Durango.
It's full steam ahead at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. Enjoy a historic trip through southwest Colorado's rich scenery with daily train excursions through the spectacular San Juan Mountains. See the world-famous 400-foot drop at the High Line. Relax as you chug along the Upper Animas River and spend an afternoon in the historic mining town of Silverton. Stop by the depot or call 247-2733. Get more information on our website at durangotrain.com.
Southwest Colorado Lifestyles with Ashley Dickson is sponsored by The Wells Group. This Furry Friends segment is brought to you by the La Plata County Humane Society and Pet House. Help us help them, one paw at a time.
Welcome to our Furry Friends feature here on Inside Durango News. I'm here with Chris Nelson from the La Plata County Humane Society, and today we've got such a lovable dog. Rocky is here in our outside studio, so thanks for bringing him by.
You're welcome. Rocky is happy to be here. He's real happy to get out of the shelter.
I'm sure, and he's got kind of an interesting story. He's been on quite the journey since he came to live with you guys.
Yeah, he originally went to a rescue group down in northern Arizona, northwest New Mexico area, spent some time with them. He came to us in a transfer with a few other dogs back on May 15th. And he's been with us for 3 months. And once we got him in our care, we quickly discovered that he had an old fractured leg that had healed, but not completely. And so 2 weeks ago today, he had femoral head ostectomy, which was paid for by generous donations from our community, and he's on the road to recovery and ready to go home.
Nice, and I gotta say, it's not slowing him down at all. He still wishes he could break away and go for a little jog.
He was all over my truck on the way here. We parked down there on Main Street, and I opened the door and he was trying to jump out behind me. So he's really ready to go. Can't run any marathons yet, but He's ready to be adopted.
But it seems like he's good at giving lots of love. That tongue is something. So he's ready to be adopted today.
Today, yeah. His adoption fee is only $60 because he's a Lonely Hearts dog. That's any dog or cat that we have that has been with us for more than 45 days. We reduce the adoption fee, and this leg injury will not slow him down one bit. He's going to be, in a couple weeks, probably 4 at the max. He's going to be just as good as normal.
And so he's only 3 years old, so still plenty of energy.
Yeah, plenty of energy.
So would he be good with another dog or a family that has kids?
Yeah, for sure. He's really great with kids. And he's good with, I'd say, 80% of the dogs he meets.
Yeah.
He's what I call a sort of a growly introducer. When he first meets you, he's kind of like that guy at the bar that barges in or something and is cussing.
Everybody has their personality quirks, you know?
He meets a little rough at first, but once he gets to know you, he's great. He's good with other dogs.
Well, just in the few minutes he's been hanging out here, he has totally won us all over. Good. So how can people get more information both on Rocky and some of the other dogs that you guys have at the Humane Society?
Well, the fastest way is just go to our website, which is lpchumanesociety.org. You can call us at 259-2847. Stop by the shelter. We're just north of Walmart, next to the thrift store, and come in and meet Rocky and fall in love with him.
Definitely. And you guys are great on social media. Follow them on Facebook because they're always posting pictures of the dogs and their stories, especially Rocky after getting surgery. He's been with the Humane Society for a while, so it's time to get this guy adopted.
90 days is too long to stay there.
All right, well, we'll let you go. I know you've been a very patient guest. After the break, we're going to find out what Durango folks really think about the new art installation at the corner of U.S. Highways 160 and 550. And then after that, the weather.
Hey, Durango. I'm Sean Ferguson. This is IDTV's Spill It. As you can see, I'm in front of the sculpture at the 160 West 550 intersection. A lot of people up in arms. People have an opinion about this sculpture. We're gonna find out what everybody's saying on this edition of Spill It.
First I thought it was awful. Now I'm kind of getting used to it. I wish it was up and down like trees or something, but what is it?
Oversized dead buzzard.
Yeah, what do you mean, the stone banana out there? Something stupid.
It kind of reminds me of books stacked together.
Waste of money.
What do you like about it?
Just very creative. I think it's very ingenious the way they made stones sort of be able to kind of float in the air. I thought it was it's very attractive, very genius.
I think my 2-year-old could have built that.
I just think it's so random.
Good with blocks?
Yeah. Stuck a bunch of rocks together and he could have called it good.
And he would have had a scholarship fund.
There you go, yeah.
And it's in the wrong place because sooner or later it's going to cause an accident. People get to staring at the dumb thing and forget where they're at.
What's it called? Does it have a name?
It's definitely an eye catcher, but in ways it could make the intersection more confusing with everything that's going on there. Just adds another thing for you to look at and you might not be paying attention well enough.
I just think that something like that would be more appropriate in a park or something more centered for community.
It's beautiful, but it's not an art museum in the middle of a confusing intersection.
I think that we should have gone local, but I'm happy to have any artwork here in town. And it's better to have artwork than a big mound of dirt.
And I know people are upset that it's not a local artist and that it's something that we spent our money on, but that's part of an environment that we live in. And I've lived in the big city in Boston and Chicago, and art's a huge piece of our city environment, and I dig it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Art's better than a big mound of dirt. So here's another beautiful representation of artwork around Durango in the downtown area and otherwise. Certainly much more thematically probably makes sense to people.
The way the sculptures are selected around town, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I know they want to honor all the artists who participate and try and get the bid, but I don't know, that piece doesn't really speak to me for Durango, actually.
I mean, that's a lot of money for that.
Art, I love the one over by Chapman Hill. I think it really reflects Durango with the cyclists. I mean, although that's not a local artist, but they did a good job with that. Mm-hmm. But this in particular, I mean, a lot of people are going to see it coming from the west and the east, and I don't know.
Art is art, but there's a place for it, and that's not the place for it.
$28,000 for that. I think they could have done better if they bought something used.
Here I am with longtime Durango resident Puck, sculpture by Elizabeth McQueen, just one of the many pieces of artwork across Durango. Of course, today we've been talking about the newest piece at the 160-550 corridor. People have a lot of opinions. Seems like a lot of them are negative, but there's definitely the positive out there. You know, I think artwork is a benefit to Durango, whether it's a local artist or not. We'd certainly rather have pieces of art, as someone said, rather than a mound of dirt. For Durango, Spill It, and IDTV News, I'm Sean Ferguson. Thanks for watching.
I'm Scotty Smith with this week's weather facts. Mark your calendars because the San Juan Brewfest comes to Buckley Park in Durango on Saturday, August 23rd at the Transit Center parking lot. This is the perfect occasion to get outside and enjoy the remaining summertime weather. The San Juan Brewfest boasts a record of 50 breweries this year. While most of the breweries hail from Colorado and other western states, there are a few breweries traveling from Wisconsin, Alaska, and Massachusetts. One of the breweries in attendance this year, with Jacob Linnenkugel Brewing Company from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, has recently partnered with the Weather Company to use its Weather FX ad platform. The new platform uses temperature and precipitation data to predict weather consumer taste for beers. Weather FX platforms will create ads using local weather conditions that suggest the best temperatures and times to enjoy one of Jacob Linnenkugel's Brewing Company's signature beers. While the San Juan Brewfest won't use that specific technology, the weather is sure to have an impact on what kind of beer lovers will be drinking at the Brewfest. Afternoon heat will likely increase the demand for light, crisp, and refreshing brews. Cooler temperatures or precipitation are sure to boast sales for darker and more hoppy beers. The San Juan Brewfest will be more open rain, shine, so grab your tickets and enjoy the late summer beer and festivals. For more information, log on to sanjuanbrewfest.com. Now, stay tuned for Inside Durango TV for your up-to-the-minute weather forecast. Southwest Colorado Lifestyles with Ashley Dickson is sponsored by The Wells Group.
Yeah! Ride 'em, cowboy, and cowgirls too. Catch all the bronc-busting, bull-riding, barrel racing action of Durango's True West Rodeo, part of the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad's annual True West Rail Fest. Watch the rodeo action on Inside Durango TV. Broadcast live from La Plata County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 17th. Show starts at 7 p.m. on Durango Cable Channel 15 and everywhere on DurangoTV.com.
Brought to you by Fast Forward Media.
First National Bank of Durango, committed to our community since 1882, where our friendly bankers help you achieve your financial goals.
We put you first!
Stop by one of our 5 locations or visit us online at fnbdurango.com.
If you love Durango, grab this edition of Durango Magazine today. Explore Durango's vibrant art scene in a nearby city that disappeared. Discover what's happening on the Animas River and what Durango families do for fun with their kids. Dining guide and Durango's dream homes too. Captivating stories, award-winning design, and stunning local photography. Durango Magazine, serving people who love Durango since 1986. By mail, your hotel room, free racks all around town, and at Magpie's newsstand.
This portion of Arts and Entertainment with Ted Holting is brought to you by the Strader Hotel.
For those of us who live here, the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad is a part of our lives, for better or worse. It's certainly Durango's top tourist draw, with as many as 1 million riders every year, most of them from out of town. But every so often there's a reason for locals to make their way down here to the depot, and this weekend brings one of those reasons, especially for local history buffs. It's the annual Rail Fest, and this year's theme, Gold Diggers and Dance Halls, incorporates 2 mainstays from the early years of Durango. After digging precious metals out of the rugged San Juan Mountains for weeks and months at a time, the dance halls provided a welcome respite from the grueling and dangerous work of the miners. So to town they came for all manners of entertainment. The big mines are gone, but there are still dance halls of sorts throughout town, though much of that entertainment is no longer available. But one of those dance halls, the Henry Strader Theater, will host the entertainment side of Railfest, including the inimitable Sourdough Slim, dubbed by someone as the W.C. Fields of Western entertainment. He'll perform on Friday and Saturday at the Hank with fellow Western entertainers Jim Dunham, the Silver Bells, and Dave Harwood. And it is Railfest after all, so the weekend also features a few special trains, including several runs by the legendary Galloping Goose, also a luxurious presidential train on Saturday morning, and a work train on Friday, which will give professional and amateur photographers a chance to get shots of the D&SNG crews as work along the rails continues between Durango and Silverton. Now, if you see enough of trains in your day-to-day life, there's plenty more to take in that doesn't involve smoke and cinders. Up the hill at the Durango Arts Center, it's a beginning and an ending. In the theater, Friday and Saturday are your last two chances to catch the musical Pippin at the DAC as its summer run comes to a close this weekend. But on Friday night, the DAC will open its latest exhibit in the Barbara Conrad Gallery, and it's an almost all-local affair. Exhibit 970, Generations, will feature 9 of the top photographers in Southwest Colorado, as well as a special guest, Brett Edge from Moab, Utah. The Colorado contingent is Howard Rakeland, Kathy Myrick, Paul Pennington, Alex Pullen, Ron Ritz, Joaquin Salazar, Tim Hamza, and Branson Reynolds. The exhibit will also include workshops by Salazar and Pullen in the coming weeks. The weekend music slate is again an almost all-local affair outside of the Western-themed visitors here for Railfest. The Balcony's got a nightly lineup starting this Thursday with the Hello Dollface duo act Ace Revel. A twin bill Friday with the Motones and the Craigs and Elder Grown on Saturday. There's midweek music at the Balcony as well with Eric Kiefer Monday, Terry Ricard on Tuesday, and Sonar on Wednesday. It's an equally busy lineup of local talent at the Derailed Saloon with Terry Ricard Thursday, the Soul River Band on Friday, and JRPT Saturday night. The Neil Nelson Duo will play the Derailed Tuesday. Now, Moe's has a mix of rock and electronic music this weekend. Sky Pilot plays Friday, and then it's DJs on Saturday night. But you can get your live rock and roll fix on Saturday as well with Bacon. They'll be over at the Irish Embassy. And if country music is your thing, you can catch 2 nights of country rock with Wild Country Friday and Saturday at the Wild Horse Saloon. But for something a bit different, join Pat Korn Tuesday night for an intimate performance in a former church that's now been renovated as a private home. Pat's the father of local photographer Carson Jones, and he's coming to town from Tennessee, where he's worked and performed in the Nashville music scene for more than 50 years. It promises to be an up-close and personal concert showcasing his guitar work in the finger-style acoustic guitar and jazz arrangements, along with great musical stories and lots of homespun humor. Local singer-songwriter Tom Chacon will open the show on Tuesday night. There's a lot to take in, but it gets easier when you get out there and experience it for yourself. We'll just try to keep you pointed in the right direction. For IDTV, I'm Ted Holteen.
Thanks, Ted. We love to showcase Durango here at Inside Durango TV, and we want to see what you have to say about your community. Inside Durango TV invites you to submit your videos for your neighbors and friends to watch on Channel 15 and DurangoTV.com. We'll accept just about anything, as long as it isn't libelous or in really bad taste. We're also looking for original music by local artists to play during the news broadcast. If you have an original song for us to air, send us a digital copy at info@DurangoTV.com. In either case, log on to DurangoTV.com for more information. That's it for this edition of Inside Durango News, and for more about what's going on in Durango, log on to what'shappeningdurango.com. Post your free event today and join the one-stop, easy-to-use events calendar for Durango. A special thanks to the Crossroads Building for letting us film on the roof, and thanks to Robbie Overfield and Hello Dollface for providing music for this edition of Inside Durango News. I'm Ashley Dickson. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, keep watching. You'll like what you see.
Tune in weekly to watch Inside Durango News, your source for what's going on in Southwest Colorado. Powered by Fast Signs. More than fast, more than signs. You can watch Inside Durango News anytime at DurangoTV.com.